We're sitting so far apart, it's like we're all scared of each other. Lads, could you all come forward a bit before we do the Mangal, before we direct our mind? And my sisters, if you fancy coming a bit closer. We've been put in the downstairs hall, so I don't think anyone's going to come and give us a hard time. We're here to get close to Guru Sahib. We're here to sort of connect, and a mixture of the Guru Maharaj, a mixture of the Sangat and the Naam. So, very grateful to have this chance to learn and share together. So we're going to begin by undertaking a Mangal. You'll have heard the Mangal many times. You'll have heard a Mangal many times before. The Mangalacharan is here. Before we undertake the discourse, before we direct our minds inwardly, we reflect upon a Mangalacharan, which is the Shabad of the Guru, to slow our minds down. In fact, that we can go beyond the mind. That if we recognize that we're not the mind, we go beyond the mind, then we can realize perhaps we're something else entirely. So everybody together, from a place of stillness, a place of yearning, we'll recite the Guru Mantra, before that the Mool Mantra, and then a very short Mangal, and then Guru Sahib will take us on this journey. Ek Onkar Satnam Karta Purakh Nirpau Nirvair Akal Murat Ajuni Saipang Gur Prasad Jap Ad Sach Jugad Sach Hai Pi Sach Nanak hosi pi sach Vahe Guru. Sare japo ji. Vahe Guru. Vahe Guru. Vahe Guru. Vahe Guru. Firat firat prabh ahaya Pariyato saranae Nanak ki prabbenti Apni bhagti lae Nanak ki prabbenti Nanak ki prabbenti Nanak ki prabbenti Apni bhagti lae. Param Satkar Yog Guru Khalsa Sadh Sangat Ji, Gaj Baj ke Fateh Balao. Vahe Guru Ji ka Khalsa, Vahe Guru Ji ki Fateh. We're all blessed to be in the company of Tana Tan Sahib Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. We're all blessed to be in the company of the Sangat of the Guru. As Guru Sahib in their kindness has brought us together to allow us this opportunity to vibrate, to share space and energy in this longing that we can bridge the gap from living within this illusion, within the Maya, to joining with the Guru and that true state and that high state of consciousness, to become one from that place of separation that we exist within this world. Maharaj explains, Bititta Saravarare Pehile Navasa Pani Pavaka Tine Kiya Pankaja Mohopag Nahi Chale Ham Dekha Tahe Doob Yale. Maharaj says, Titta Saravarare Pehile Navasa, people living in their houses in this world, that they're living in this world and they're living on fire. Titta Saravarare Pehile Navasa Pani Pavaka Tine Kiya. And in this way of suffering, people are existing in this swamp. I can see them in this world suffering. And as we was undertaking the course and undertaking the research, we came across a comment made by Bhai Amandeep Singh. And he said, there's a whole continent of people that are walking around without a guru. In the Indian subcontinent, for example, there are people walking around and all that they need is a guru. But what is it to be without a guru, if one step even before that, you don't even know that you don't have a guru? What does it mean to be in this world and be on fire, but we don't even know that we're on fire? We don't even know that we're inflicted with a disease. And Jagaraj is explaining that people are walking around suffering, but they don't even know they're suffering because it's just the way of the world. In younger years, we may have been more alive to the fact that we might have been in a room where everyone's smiling. And you're like, well, I'm not very happy here, but everyone else is smiling, and I'll just smile too. In younger years, you've been in a room, you've been at parties where everybody's having a great time outwardly, and you're like, I'm not really enjoying myself in this space, but chalo sare, everyone's together in this way, I'll just tell my mind to quieten off. And as we've gotten older, we've even lost that understanding that we were in a state of flux, that we weren't entirely happy. As we get older, we become more accepting, until we become very much part of that reality, that illusion, that our children perhaps are feeling that this isn't quite right, just chasing this dream. And in many ways, we've lost touch with who we really are. And if you don't know who you really are, you haven't seen that person of who we really are inside, then how can we look to that person and see that they're even suffering if we're lost, if they're not even available to us? And Bhagat Kabir ji talks about this. They say, Kabir mool pachane ta saho jane. Bhagat Kabir ji says, Kabir, when you know yourself, Kabir mool jane, when you know who you really are, when you've gone inside and undertaken that journey, ta saho, then that's how you can come to find your husband, Lord. And so, Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat ji, the root of all suffering is not a mystery in the house of the Guru. Outside in the world, people are suffering without a Guru. And Jagaraj is saying there's 1 billion people that are walking around without a Guru. They don't even know that they don't have a Guru because they don't even know that they should have a Guru. And so they're walking around with this affliction of the mind. The point was to give that state of satisfaction, be Sadh Sangat ji, wherever we are on this journey, and I'm behind all of you, wherever we are on this journey, but with a bit of gratitude, we have at least got a Guru, one who can give us that direction to help us understand how we can agge kidda ja sakde hain. And in the rest of the world, where there is this a mystery of why am I suffering this way, and this whole industry has just sort of boomed in the last 15 years, this sort of like life coaching, mental well-being, it's $1 billion industry where everyone's trying to flood the gap and give the answers to the questions. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't explore those worldly avenues of education, but they're all trying to answer this question, why am I so unhappy? What is it that I can do to be happy? And some will say between every hour you should stand up in your work desk and do 10 squats. Others will say 10,000 steps a day, be minimum, you have to have this much sleep. Depending on one person's area of expertise, they will tell you that this is the answer, and none of them are wrong. None of them are wrong. That we should maintain a healthy body and a healthy diet, and these are all things that should exist. But nobody is able to understand the spirit question. Why is it that we wake up sometimes with this feeling of anxiety, even though we don't know why? That if we look around us, we see everything that we were dreaming to have. We're living a dream, literally, that we dreamt 5-10 years ago. And yet with all of these things that we've dreamed to obtain, now we've obtained them, but what is it that is making us suffer? And the Guru is here, Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat Ji, to dispel that ignorance, to give an answer to that question that the whole world is caught up chasing. Why is it that we're so unhappy, Sadh Sangat Ji? It's because of a word that we have heard before, but we don't really understand. And that word, Sadh Sangat Ji, is haumai. You've heard the word haumai before, maybe. Or hankar. Haumai, hankar. So, haumai and hankar are often used interchangeably. So I'm going to explain the words I'm using, because for some of us, this language and terminology is foreign to us. It's not our first language. I was born in this country. Also, my Vidya Ustad, my instructor, my teacher, my very blessed friend, Guru Mark, teaches me Shastra Vidya, teaches me Sila. He's also here as well. So to honor him, I'm also going to speak perhaps even more English to break the roots of these words down. Haumai is the word that we use to describe our ego. Haumai is not the word that we use to describe our ego. When we think of haumai, we think of it's the same as ego, but it's not. When we think of the word hankar, hankar is our ego. When we walk around, we try and push our chest out, we think that we're better than somebody else. That sort of battle with the ego and humility, that is hankar. But haumai is something else entirely. When we use the word haumai is when we are looking within ourselves and we are acknowledging our existence. When we say haumai is broken down into two words. Ho meaning I, and ma, me. Haumai is actually when we self-identify within us by reference to the creation. When we're acknowledging our own existence. When we're seeing ourselves as separate from somebody else. Something that actually exists in the dream of this world. So Guru Maharaj explains to us that it's actually our haumai, this belief that this is real, and I am real, and this is basically a permanent existence for which I'm forever going to remain. That it's that disease that causes us all this pain. Because Sadh Sangat Ji, for so long as this vessel is filled with haumai, as long as it's filled to the brim with Amandeep, with me and I'm a lawyer, and I'm a father, and I'm a doctor, and I'm a whatever it is that we might associate with, as long as we fill ourselves with this, then there's no room for Parameshwar Vaheguru to exist within that same being. So, haumai is the disease, it's the root cause of all of our suffering. And it's become so intricately part of our every moment of our existence that we've become tricked into this illusion that we matter so much that we, excuse the pun, but there's matter within us, in the physical sense, so much that we think that everything that's going to happen is extremely detrimental to us. And that everything that happens within our life is life or death. And so we've become so tricked into this illusion. It's a little bit like we're watching a TV. As a child, we might have watched Freddy Krueger or Friday the 13th. We might have watched these films, and we know it's in a screen, but even then it terrifies us so much that we'll take those nightmares to our minds, and for many nights have sleepless nights, even though we see it's in a screen. In the same way, our own existence is finite. And that actually we're part and parcel of Parameshwar Vaheguru. But we've become so tricked, so enamored with our own haumai, our self-existence. We've indulged with this so much that there's no room within us for Parameshwar Vaheguru. So Guru Sahib explains this. They say, Jab hum hote, tab tu nahi, ab tu hi main nahi. They say, Jab hum hote. Because jab, when, hum hote, when I am there, tab tu nahi, then you can't be. When I'm looking within myself and all I see is me, oh my God, what am I going to do? I can't believe that you treated me like this. How dare you insult me? How dare you not acknowledge how great I am, with the emphasis on me and I over and over again on these sentences. Jab hum hote, when I'm thinking of me, jab hum hote, tab tu nahi, then you can't be there. Ab tu hi main nahi. But when I replace myself with you, when I get rid of myself, when I remove myself from the equation, then there is room for you to exist in that space. Aakho Satnam Siri. You know, Sadh Sangat Ji, I'll tell you a very painfully truthful, I'll share with you a very painful truth. For some reason or another, Sangat share with me their problems, and they speak to me about asking for advice on certain circumstances and situations. And there's a direct correlation between the amount of suffering someone is enduring and how much they are fixated on their own problems. There's a direct correlation between how much suffering that we endure and how unhappy we are and how much we are consumed just with ourselves. So how do I explain that in practical terms? If somebody comes to me and they say, Amandeep, I'm really stressed out about this problem, and they talk to me a little bit about their particular circumstance, and they're all different, but they're all very similar. During the course of the conversation, I'll say, how much seva are you doing? How much are you, when I'm saying to do seva, I don't necessarily just mean upstairs in the langar hall, but like, how much time are you taking out for your grandmother who's not very well? How much time are you taking out for your sister who's going through a divorce? How much time are you taking out for someone else that could do with a bit of support? And they look at me confused. Have you not been listening to me? But I've just told you how much pain I'm in. And I'm like, I know. I'm trying to give you the solution. But we seem to think that when we're perfectly arranged and the stars are aligned and there's no dukh in our life, then I'll go and help somebody else. No, Sadh Sangat Ji. The pain exists because we're not helping anybody else. There's no room for that selfless service in our life. When you're absolutely strapped and there's nothing within you to give because you're suffering so much, that is the place when you have to stand up and give. It's not the other way around. It's not everything's perfect and perfectly arranged and aligned. Now I can give to somebody else. And what's happened is we've been miseducated from like a Western understanding. These sorts of philosophies like charity begins at home. You know, first fill your own cup. Yes, I'm not saying that we should burn ourselves out. What I'm saying is that from the Guru's perspective, when we are focusing entirely on ourselves, jab hum hote tab tu nahi, then there's no room within you for Parmeshwar Vaheguru to come and exist. Ab tu hi main nahi, anal agam jaise leher mein odat, jal keval jal mahi. Maharaj, when you exist within me, I get great wisdom. I get the wisdom of understanding that I'm just a wave. Like a wave that comes up in the ocean with all of its problems and difficulties and circumstances. Imagine a wave coming out of the ocean and just for a moment, it's freeze frame on the TV. You're looking at that wave and that wave is telling you about the forever problems that it's going to have to endure. Like, you don't know how difficult this situation is for me. It's going to be forever. I can never see a time when this problem will not go away. Imagine you're looking at that wave. You're like, bro, look at your route. You're about to disappear back into the ocean from whence you've come. But there is nothing infinite about your problems. And you try to explain to that wave, but that wave is like, you don't get it, man. I'm completely consumed. If that wave could just take a moment to look away from itself, it would see that there's an ocean of infinite waves, which is just a small part of. But in its own pain and suffering, its own haumai, be I, me. That wave, Bachara, thinks it's the only source of water in the entire world. Imagine explaining to a wave, if you just looked at your root, if you just looked literally where you came from, bro, there's an ocean beneath you that's going to absorb you back into itself. In fact, if you look really deep, you would never part from that ocean in the first place. And the wave goes, no, you don't understand, Amandeep Singh. I'm all on my own. These problems nobody understands. These are just mine. Nobody's got dukh like me. But don't tell me to connect to Parmeshwar Vaheguru. I'll do that when these problems go away. And you're like, so do you see any other waves? No, there's just me and this dukh on my own. Sadh Sangat Ji, it's easy for us to see the hypocrisy and the shortcoming in that situation. But Sadh Sangat Ji, I'll be very honest with you, in that affliction of haumai, we're all walking around that way. Me, no less than any of you. Maharaj says, Anal agam jaise leher mein odat jal keval jal mahi. Maharaj कहते माधवे क्या कहिए परम ऐसा जैसा मानिए होए ना तैसा. So the way that it appears to me, the way that it appears to everybody, that's not the truth of it at all. Kya kahiye param aisa? What can I say about this world? It's got everybody confused. It's got everybody confused to such a point that we think that the source of the solution for our problems exists with me putting my mind to myself. No, Sadh Sangat Ji. We've been miseducated. So in the Western philosophy, what we're saying now, this is completely at ends with Western philosophy. Western philosophy, we go back, say, like René Descartes is like considered the modern father of Western philosophy. One of his most famous works is summarized in one line. He says, I think, therefore I am. And this is like the spine of Western philosophy. And it's been heralded as like the new emergence, like the renaissance of education. I think, therefore I am. I exist because of my consciousness. Sadh Sangat Ji, we couldn't be further from the truthful understanding of it. I think actually, from our understanding from Guru Maharaj, I'm thinking, and this idea that I exist and I am is the very disease that prevents us from connecting with each other. That prevents us from connecting with one another. Because as soon as you focus on your mind and you become self-associated, then within you there's no room to connect with each other. And that's why we can sit in a room of 150, 200 people when there's so much ego in that room and on that dance floor. We can stand in a room of 250, 300 people, all of whom we've grown up with, and we can feel entirely on our own. Just waiting for it to be appropriate time where we can say, let's just get the butterfly now, and let's just go. Let's just say thank you and go home, and we just get changed into our PJs. Like, how can I be so lonely in the same room of which I've felt where I see all of my people? Because Sadh Sangat Ji, it's that ego, that haumai that prevents us. That ego, that subtle ego is very different to hankar. So Sadh Sangat Ji, as we go a bit deeper into this understanding, we have haumai then. Haumai is this self-identity, this sort of identity that we've built up within our minds. I'm 30 years old, I'm a doctor, I've got a family, this is how I define myself, this is how I'm viewed in the world. That's haumai, that mind identity that makes you separate as a wave, if you will, using that analogy of the wave from the sea. Where the wave goes, no, that sea's nothing to do with me. That's just other people get to enjoy the beauty of the sea. I'm a wave, I'm beautiful, look at me, I'm so great and big. That is haumai. Hankar is very different. Hankar is our ego. The ego is one of 5 thieves that steal away our true essence and serve our haumai. So if you think of it this way, haumai is the big disease. It's the disease that prevents us connecting to God. And the servants, the 5 horsemen, if you will, if you think about like Lord of the Rings, then the horse riders, the black riders, the 5 riders that serve our haumai, that make sure that the world is plundered from all the opportunities to connect. Those 5 thieves that steal from us, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar, including ego, those 5 thieves of lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego, those 5 thieves are stealing. They're like servants of our haumai. And every time that we indulge in these things, it's like strengthening our mind existence, our mind identity, as we serve that. So Maharaj says, Es dehi panch chor vaseh Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankara. And in this way, our body is our body is being robbed of its true essence of Amrit. Amrit lute, man mukh nahi bujhe, koi sune pukara. Maharaj says, in this way, as these 5 thieves are robbing from us, literally stealing from us, and strengthening our haumai, Amrit lute, man mukh nahi bujhe, we don't even understand what's happening. Man mukh nahi bujhe, they have no understanding, koi sune pukara, and nobody can answer. I thought that was me, then I'd have been in trouble. Nobody can answer our prayers, which is why when we go and see the doctor and we say, I don't know, I just feel like rubbish, they go, look, go in, have this tablet, and you'll be fine. And we're feeding the same body that those 5 Ds are feeding. We're not going beyond that essence. So Maharaj is saying, Amrit lutte man mukh nahi bujhe, that this Amrit is being stolen from us. Amrit is that sweet essence of bliss that exists within all of us. Koi sune pukar, and as we try to explain to each other, I don't know why I'm feeling this way, we're not getting anywhere. Because everyone's just like, relax. In other circles, I've been there many times, it's like, relax, have a drink. We'll just forget these things together. And rather than trying to solve the problem, we just agree in our circles to suffer together. And if you try and break from that circle, other people's haumai, they can't handle it. And even though they're our brothers and sisters, they pull us into those circles. And they say, listen, I can't have my mind identification except that I'm going to burn here while you move out. How many of our best friends are responsible for keeping us in a place of pain? Not because they hate us, because their haumai is so big that they can't allow any truth to be accepted, that this person is going to be strong enough to step away from this circle and move forward. My father's I've come from a family of pub owners and nightclub owners. And my father's a heavy, heavy drinker. And he gave up drinking a few years ago. And he said that there were people, we come from the East End of London, and my dad sort of grew up on the streets of London in the 60s, late 70s and the 60s. Well, sorry, actually, around the sort of the mid-70s, he was a young boy growing up. And he says it was very rough there with the National Front, who had their headquarters for the UK in Barking and things like this. And he said, I stood toe-to-toe with friends of mine. We spilt blood together. We fought together to try and maintain a strength amongst our community, as there was much to fight for, much to live and die for. He goes, those same friends that I stood toe-to-toe with for all of those years, but when I tried to give up alcohol and tried to better myself, these are people I spent decades with. They turned their backs on me. They wouldn't face me when I tried to walk away from alcohol. He goes, people would buy me a drink at night in the pub, but if I asked them for £5 in the morning for the bus to get to work, they wouldn't have it for me. Now, that doesn't make the people that my dad talking about, these are like my uncles and my family, that doesn't make them better or worse. When you have an understanding of what haumai is, which is this mind identification, all it really is people operating from a place of fear. It's just fear. Not fear in like a Rocky Balboa sense where you go, look, you're scared, you're a coward. The true sense is this: we're all, as we associate with our haumai, as we become so mind identified, so certain with our haumai, the idea that you've got to give that up to move closer to Parameshwar Vaheguru is so scary for us that if I'm not me, if I can't accept that I'm Amandeep Singh and I'm a lawyer and that I'm all of these things that my mind has become my identification with, then we'd rather hold on to that and suffer than let go and enjoy what Guru Sahib has for us. But we have to have that sharda, we have to have that faith. Maharaj says, Satguru Sabanada Pala Manaida Tisda Bura Kyo Hoy. The Guru, if we just have the courage to give up our haumai and go beyond our ego, if we could do that and come to Guru Maharaj and say, yo Maharaj, you know what? Ain't been working out for me. I've been doing the best I can with my ego, just serving myself. And I can just about keep my lips above water. I'm just about treading water here. Maharaj, before I drown, I come to you, I surrender to you. If we could do that, it wouldn't be that we would drown Satsanga Ji. What would happen is we would realize that actually there was no ocean of suffering in the first place as we find ourselves in Guru Sahib's embrace. Aakho Satnam Siri. There's a Sakhi that comes to mind. There's a king, and he's in his kingdom. Everybody reveres him. He's got all these wazir, these advisors around him. He goes hunting one day, and when he goes hunting, he comes back, and in different parts of our itihas, basically he comes back and his thumb has been. Some say that he's lost his thumb. He comes back to his kingdom, and all the wazir, all the advisors, they're like, bo mara sama ho gaya, bhi sada rajana sat lagi, yeah, and they're all like cooing around him, like basically praising his ego. Not his haumai, his ego, yeah? Making him feel good about himself. And the Raja is like, oh, look, thank you for your support. But the top Wazir that's there, the guy that he most, the guy that's head of his court, he says, Waheguru the Kirpaya, this is a blessing that's happened to you. And all the other Wazir, the junior the advisors, they go to the king and they say to the king, how can we say that this is Bala? What's this guy on? Like, he's supposed to be the top guy, and he's saying to you that you're having your thumb cut by an animal in hunting. How can that be a good thing? If tomorrow someone comes in here and cuts your throat, would he say that's good too? So they put the masala onto it as well, right? So the king calls the Wazir forward and he says, did you say that it's a blessing that I've had my thumb cut? Because the Wazir is beyond their ego. They're completely in acceptance of Parameshwar Waheguru, right? They say, yeah, it was a pala. The king goes, mind how you go. And he actually hits him and throws him out of the kingdom. He throws the king out of the kingdom. He throws the Wazir out of the kingdom. As he falls out on the floor, he's rolling in the mitti outside the borders of the king's castle. He stands up and he says, Waheguru evi palaya. And the advisors and the king, they all laugh at him. After some time, the king, he desires that he wants to have some sort of a perspective on his kingdom. So what he says is, I'm going to leave my throne for a small while. I'm going to go out and I want to just explore and see how the peasants live in my kingdom. So I'm going to put on my normal clothes. I'm going to take my crown off. I'm going to just go disguised into the kingdom. So he travels in this way. He gets on a boat and he starts traveling across the areas of his land, like unrecognized. And he goes out into the water, and there's this sea creature that basically captivates the boat, won't allow it to move forward or backwards. And all of the people in the boat are saying that this creature is eventually going to sink the boat. We're all going to die. This creature wants a bali. It wants an offering. It needs a sacrifice. So they start talking amongst each other. They say it's got to be a great pure sacrifice. Pure in this context, we're all adults here. Pure in this context meaning someone that hasn't enjoyed physical contact with the opposite gender. So they're walking around and they're saying, have you had children? They go, I'm sorry, I've got kids, so I can't be a pure sacrifice. I can't be a pure sacrifice. So on and so forth. And as they're going around discounting one another, they see this beggar sitting in the corner, obviously the king in disguise, who's not speaking up. On the uppers video, they speak to each other. They go, look, he's obviously going to be the perfect person because he's the only person not defending himself. The reason he's quiet is he's got nothing to say. Let's just throw him overboard and he can be an offering. So the king doesn't say anything. He's got nothing to say. If he starts speaking that he's the king now, they're going to say he's just making it up. Why didn't he mention it earlier? What kind of a king leaves their throne? And they're about to throw the king overboard and they recognize that he's missing a digit. His thumb's missing. He's not Buddha. He's not perfect. They pull him back over and go, you won't be accepted anyway because you're missing a digit from your thumb. You're missing a digit from your hand. You're missing your thumb. So they pull him back overboard and he survives from being thrown overboard. And he goes, Waheguru, you did such a blessing on me. Had I not lost my thumb in that accident, then I wouldn't have been able to survive that mutiny, that attempt to throw me over. He gets back to his kingdom and he meditates on this. He goes, that Wazir was right. That advisor, he had the ability to have the foresight to see beyond what immediately looked like a curse, to see it as a blessing. So he calls for the Wazir to come forward and he says, you were right. And the Wazir goes, look, Waheguru the Kirpaya, by the blessings of Waheguru. He goes, but I don't get it. He goes, when I hit you and I pushed you, takka maar ke main tunu baar kar diya. But also, even at that time, you said that was a blessing too. Because you were just speaking the truth. You were acting with integrity. And I rewarded you by kicking you out of the kingdom, removing your position and throwing you in the mitti. But why did you call that a blessing too? He said, because if you hadn't thrown me out of the kingdom, I'd have been with you on that boat. And I don't have any kids. So, how was it that Wazir was able to do this? Because he had reached such an avastha that he wasn't so mind identified with his own position. Can you imagine being in his mind in that state, that I'm the top advisor of the king's kingdom? If he was enraptured in that state of mind, could you see him receiving those blows of condemnation and accepting that as a blessing? But if you just saw that as the illusion of this play, that today I'm wearing the robes of a wajir, tomorrow I might be wearing the robes of a beggar, but this is all within the care, this is all within the play anyway. Whatever your blessing is true. That is the state of mind that he was in. And in that state of mind, that wouldn't reduce him from a king to a wajir or a beggar anyway. What it would do was it would allow him to suffer, to endure that line without any suffering. Sad Sangat Ji, it's not the things that happen to us that cause us to suffer. It's the labels that we have in our mind, our entitlements based on who we think we are, as we reflect upon those deeds by reference to what we think we should be receiving, based on who we are. It's that which causes us to suffer. You know, just this weekend I was blessed. I had Katha Seva in Gravesend. And I was talking to this idea about your mind identification, our experience not being based on the reality, but based on our subjective understanding, our perception that how can this happen to me? Why do I have to endure this? Behind that is I'm better than this, or I deserve more than this, or because of my status, this is all wrong. That's our haumai, our mind identification. And I was talking to a young man, and he was crying to me. He was crying his eyes out. Actually, he was really quite distraught. And this is the truth of the situation. We just finished Katha. He said, Zing, can I get a bit of advice from you? I said, what's going on? And he said, I'm going to get married in a while, and I don't wish to have intoxicants and meat and things like this at my wedding. But my in-laws are insisting on these things, and I don't want to have to do those things because it's going to cause me to do barp. And he was quite emotional about this. And during the course of the Vijad, we were talking about his circumstance, and he couldn't see past this cloud that was above his head. So as we were doing Vijad, I said, let me tell you a little bit about something that I'm enduring right now. I'm going through a bit of a difficult time. My Singhani's got cancer. We're on the edge of it right now. We don't know which way things are going to go. They know Sadhguru sabnata pala manaida tisda bura kyo hoy. But we don't know where we're going to go. The treatment that we had, the first treatment hasn't got rid of the cancer. We've got a second line treatment. There's a lot of suffering, a lot of pain. She's lost a lot of weight. And we're going through this circumstance now. And I just shared with him that this is what someone else is going through right now. And as he's listening to me, he's got so much love for me, this thing, he gets quite caught up in, we're talking about this. And I said, stop. Let's go back to what we were talking about before. And he goes, what were we talking about before? I go, you're talking about your wedding and the situation. He goes, oh, that. He goes, oh, that's nothing now. I go, let's laugh about it. I go, how big is that problem? He goes, it's this big now. He goes, it's this big. And we started laughing and joking about how that problem is not a problem for him at all. Because I'm going to tell my in-laws that I'm a man of such principle, you should be proud of me that I'm going to marry your daughter. And would you want someone to marry your daughter that's going to bend their principles? You should want your daughter to marry someone that's steadfast and strong. And he goes, there's no problem for me now. And what changed? I said to him, what's changed in your understanding of your dukh? What's changed? The same marriage, the same date, the same person, the same family. None of them have agreed. You haven't spoke to anybody. But we were literally together. We were laughing now about what was otherwise haunting him. And the only thing that we could work out that had changed was his identification with that over his life. And Maharaj explains this. They say, Jaisi Mansa Tesi Dasa. Leeds Sangat Ji, we've spoken about this many times over the years. I always enjoy sharing this vichar because it has changed my life. Maharaj says, Jaisi Mansa, whatever thoughts you hold in your mind, Tesi Dasa, that will determine your reality. Akho Sattanam Siri. In other words, it's not what's happening to you. It's not what is happening before you, to you, maybe ahead of you. That's not what determines your reality. What determines your reality, Jaisi Mansa, Tesi Dasa, what thoughts you hold, how much accord you give to that situation. Maharaj says, Jo man dekhe parman tesa, Jaisi Mansa Tesi Dasa. Maharaj says, Jo man dekhe, how you choose to view something in your mind, Jo man dekhe paraman tesa, that determines your reality, not what's happening. And Sad Sangat Ji, imagine if our mind identification is so weak because we're removing our haumai. As we've come before the Guru, as we're receiving Guru's Naam, imagine if your mind identification to this body is so weak because it's almost dissolved. Where is the place that you hold problems? Imagine problems are held in the body of your own haumai and your haumai have dissolved. Problems are going to just fall through you. Literally, they will fall. There's no place for you to hold them. It's like, okay, Maharaj, you give me these problems, but how do I hold them? I haven't got the ability to hold them. Sad Sangat Ji, we make our minds very strong to our haumai. We're holding on so tight. Our mind is so strong, we wake up. We haven't got to be reminded the haumai is just there. It's like we've trained ourselves in a negative way. Imagine you are weak to your haumai because you are so attached to your Guru. The Shakti between us and our Guru is so strong that our haumai has made our mind identification so weak that there's no place to hold that ego. Wouldn't that be such an amazing thing? Sad Sangat Ji, why are we so lucky? We're so lucky. Forget where we are on that journey. Most people don't even know that that is the journey for what we should be here to undertake. That we're here to shed our connection with ourselves. Maharaj says, Aap gavaiye, ta saho paiye, aur kaisi chatarai. Aap gavaiye, when you forget yourself, ta saho paiye, that's when you will unite with your husband, Lord. Akho Satanam Siri. Aap gavaiye, ta saho paiye, aur kaisi chatarai. What else is there to do? We all are here to fall in love with our Parameshwar Vaheguru. But how many people can you fall in love with if we're only truly in love with ourselves? Sad Sangat Ji, I'm going to be very honest with you. The reason I'm here doing Katha is, for me, I'm trying to put this into practical terms, this is my way of trying to serve because I believe in the Guru's Sikhya. The mandate of the Guru is go beyond yourself, and in this way, your identification with your problems won't exist because you're too busy serving and being in the company of and being loved by the Sangat. I come here to see my brother Charan Singh. He was giving me a big hug. He goes, brother, how you doing? But I'm here because I have that piyas. Jinko lagi piyas. Those that have that piyas in this way. But Sad Sangat Ji, we have to understand that a lot of the things we've been educated with are wrong. I think, therefore I am. It's rubbish. It's so far from what the Guru is saying. But we've become so indoctrinated with this. Be focused on your problems and your solution, and in this way you'll go beyond it. No. The way that we can go beyond our problems is to understand that the problems attach themselves to ourselves, and we have to go beyond ourselves. We have to go the other way. Now I'll go back to that example. Whenever you're in a difficult situation, Sad Sangat Ji, you'll know that that situation is compounded and compounded and compounded. And you look at yourself, you say, when was the last time that I went swat? When was the last time I went to the langar kitchen? And you'll find that your suffering is directly linked to how far you've taken yourself from a place of service. And that's very true for me too. It's true for all of us. And you'll find that no matter where you are in that pit, as soon as you look to serve, that place has no hold on you, as you've given yourself to someone else to hold, the Sangat. Which is why the Guru is always praising the Sangat. Have you ever noticed Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj? They're constantly in celebration and sacrifice of the Sangat. Guru Arjan Dev Ji says, Janake charan vase mera hire sangha panita dehi Janki tur deho kirpa nida nanak ke sukh ehi. Maharaj says, yo, if I could take the Sangat's feet, I would literally install their feet in my heart. Janke charan, if I could take their feet, vase mere hire, I wish I could make their feet live in my heart. And in this way, Sangapanita dehi, my body would blossom. Janki tur, and in this way, Janki tur, I wish I could take the dust of the feet of the Sangat. Janki tur deho kirpane, the nanak ke sukh ehi. This is the only blessing that I want. Guru Maharaj would endure so much for refusing to change any of the lines of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj to praise Islam. We know what happened. Guru Arjan Dev Ji was told, change Gurbani to praise Islam. Guru Arjan Dev Ji said, I cannot change these words. They refused to change even one word in Gurbani. They were made to sit on the tatti tavi. They were cooked on iron plate with white hot sand poured upon their body by the Mughals who wanted Islam to be praised in Sikhi. And Maharaj said, no, these words have come from God. This is the same Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj. They are the form of Sitalta. They are the form of complete coolness while they're sitting on the Tatti Tavi. And they're saying, what are they saying? Are they saying, I'm great, I'm amazing? No. Their mind identification, if we can call it such, is I am totally a sacrifice to serve and hold the Sangat. Now, Sadh Sangat Ji, here's the question. We read the Bhakti, Bijanake Charan Vase Mere Here. Guru Sahib saying, I wish the Sangat's feet could reside in my heart, yeah? But we read that because we're so far from the Guru. How many of us read that and go, oh, Maharaj is talking about the Sangat and the Guru. We don't think of it as ourselves. We don't say that Maharaj is saying to me, Bhai Amandeep, come and reside within my heart, let me hold you. Why do we do that? Because in our mind identification, we see this is like a game, that other people will play it, and that I'll speak to Charan, and Charan, you go and reside in Guru Arjan Dev Ji's heart. Because we don't think of ourselves as worthy, because we're on the sidelines just observing this. You know, when we hear Guru Arjan Dev Ji and the Sangha, you don't think of us, we don't think of ourselves. But if the doctor gives us a medicine from the surgery and goes, this will get rid of your ailments, you don't hold it and go, oh, someone that's got a cold can eat this. We think this is for me. Someone in a medical sense gives, here's a dwai for your ailment. We don't say to the doctor, so you want me to take these? We assume that it's for us. But when Guru Arjan Dev Ji is speaking and they're saying, I want the Sangha to reside in my heart so I can keep them, we don't have that because our mind identification is so strong that we think this is about the people in the Guru Card and the Guru, and we don't think of ourselves as that. Why? Why do we deny ourselves the opportunity to make steps towards our Guru? Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat Ji, for whatever reason, our identification of our mind is such that we don't see this for us. We consider ourselves unworthy perhaps. Even that is our haumai. Don't think for a second that that's not haumai. Remember I told you haumai and hankar are separate. Hankar is our ego, when I think I'm a big man, yeah? Haumai is that identification that I am. And sometimes, how does that present itself? It goes, yeah, but this game of Sikhi, it's not for me. That's our haumai. This is for those good people. If people knew how bad I was, they would never look at me even once and say to me that you can do this. That's our haumai. So what we're saying is that I'm such a big man that Guru Sahib couldn't remove those problems from me. We're saying that I'm so great that my problems are too big for our Guru to bear. That's our haumai. That yeah, but what does Guru Sahib say? Maharaj says, Banji did read us just as we were walking in. So they were finishing the last Shabbat. Maharaj says, Pitera kita jato nahi, meno jog kito hi, me nirguna yare, ko guna nahi. Ape? Maharaj is saying, me nirguna yare, I have no virtue. Me nirguna yare, ko guna nahi, ape tarasapayoi. Maharaj says, ape tarasapayoi, you're the one that's going to save me. Sadh Sangat Ji, our haumai is our biggest enemy. This mind identification that we've become so stubbornly attached to has become, it's such a rogue for us, and for many that are walking around don't even know that it exists. If we can understand that, and we can accept that, the next question that we have, Sadh Sangat Ji, is how do we destroy our haumai? That's the question we should be here to ask. This is the main purpose of our life, how do we destroy our haumai? Sadh Sangat Ji, listen very carefully. Guru Maharaj doesn't just give the diagnosis, they don't just explain to us, they also give us the medicine. Maharaj explained to us that the opposite of our haumai, the opposite of the disease of this haumai, this mind identification, is the gift that you can receive from the Guru, which is Naam. Akho Satanam Siddhi. The disease of our haumai can be destroyed with the gift of Naam. Akho Satanam Siddhi. I'll say that again, Sadh Sangat Ji. Maharaj says, Sarva Roga, of all disease, every single disease within our own being can be destroyed ka occurred by the dwai of Naam. Akho Satanam Siddhi. Maharaj says, haumai dirag rog hai, daru pi is mai. This tremendous disease of haumai dirag rog, this great disease, daru pi is mai, the cure for it actually exists within us. Sadh Sangat Ji, Guru Sahib is explaining to us that the source of medicine that we need to take, if you will, putting the word take loosely, yeah, is actually found within us. It's actually found, we're looking outside. Everyone is going everywhere. Psychiatrists, psychotherapists, people that work to validate us through promotions, our parents, our grandparents, our children, in fact, sometimes for praise. We're going to everywhere to try and make us feel good in a worldly sense, which is really perpetuating our haumai, our self-identification. Guru Sahib is saying that's all going to be short-lived. The way that we can obtain oneness and actually defeat this disease is from Naam. Akho Satanam Sri. So the Guru has brought to us this mantra. This mantra is actually the source of our own Savior. We haven't got to buy it. You can't buy it, in fact. You can't ask somebody to give it to you. There's nobody in this world except the Guru that can give it to us. What is that Naam? Sadh Sangat Ji, listen very carefully. You've been told this many times by your grandparents. Be Vaheguru Japya Karo, Guru Mantar Japya Karo, Vaheguru Vaheguru Simran Karo. But we've never been told perhaps why. And the magic is in the why. When we understand the why, it's like, yo, I better make sure that I do this. We're never really told the why for some reason. It's in the why that the magic happens. Guru Sahib says that Naam, the name of God, when we recite this mantra given to us by the Guru, it destroys our haumai. Vaheguru Gur Mantar hai japa haumai khoy. Vaheguru, the mantar, Guru Mantar, the Guru Mantar of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. Vaheguru Gur Mantar hai japa haumai khoy. What haumai? There'll be no haumai left. When we're lucky enough to sit in the Sangat and do Simran on the Guru Mantar, we are like knocking away bricks and bricks and bricks of a wall of ego. A wall of haumai that's around us. Imagine there's a beautiful sunshine and we're in this cell of bricks that are all around us. Literally, that's how it is. Those bricks aren't made of cement and mortar. Those bricks that surround us, that separate us from Parameshwar Vaheguru, is made up from a wall of one ingredient, haumai. Quite literally, Guru Arjan Dev Ji says this. Guru Arjan Dev Ji says, ho ho peet payo he bicho, sonat des nikatayo, pampiri ke paat pardo, bin pekhe durayo. Maharaj says, ho ho peet. There's a wall around you. Maharaj literally says there's a wall around you that's blocking you in. Ho, it's made up of only one thing. Ho, I, me. In other words, haumai. Mother says, ho, pita, payo he bicho. I'm within this wall and I'm suffering. Ho, pita, payo he bicho, sunat nes nikatayo. I can hear you. Oh, my beloved, I can hear you, but I can't see you. Where are you? Why can't I see you? Pampiri ke paat pardo, bin pekhe dur ayo. Even though I know you're so close to me, I can't feel you, bin bekhe, I can't see you, dur ayo. So for that reason, you seem so far away. Guru Pyari Sadh Sangat Ji, nothing can be further from the truth. Guru Maharaj is just here. If we just had the ability to destroy that wall, Sadh Sangat Ji, how thick is that wall? Would you be inclined to want to know? That wall that surrounds us is thinner than a butterfly's wing. Not the span, you know the butterfly's wing that flaps, it's like 1 millimeter thick, the wing. That's how thin, that's how fragile that wall is that separates us from Parameshwar Vaheguru. Pan piri ke paat pardo. The span of that butterfly's wing is like the width of a butterfly. But even though it's so thin, it prevents me from seeing you. So subtle is our ego. Sadh Sangat Ji, when we sit down and do Simran, every time we do Simran, every time we sit down and we recite the name of God, Vaheguru, 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 every time we do this, we are destroying that wall of haumai with the gift of Naam. Jagraj would used to call the Guru Mantar, he would say, my brother Jagraj, who started Basics of Sikhi, he would call it the karam killer. He goes, every time you recite the mantra, all your karam is being destroyed, all your haumai, all of that you've brought with you to make up who you are right now, is destroyed. Now, you know those stereotypical lines you hear in films, like, everything I've ever done has led up to this point. It's like, it seems like a really amazing, like, amazing. All of my previous actions has brought me here. And it's like, what you're basically saying is that all of your self-identification, all of the ego that you've been feeding has taken you to this place where you couldn't be further from connection. And what we're actually saying is, Guru Sahib is saying, sit in the Sangat, have the courage to challenge these narratives that are dressed up in such a way that they look fanciful. And look at the people that are saying them and say, would you trade places with their frequency, with their energy? It's no surprise that all of the people that seem so high are checking themselves into rehab, Alcoholics Anonymous, and why? Because although they might be high in the worldly perception of what is success, they're so far from dismantling their haumai that they're actually suffering more and more as that wall is getting thicker. You seem even further and further away. So Satsanga ji, let's sit in the Sangat now with an understanding of why. When we recite the mantra of the Guru, have we ever thought, I want to feel close to my Guru? My father-in-law, who sits in this darbar, they come up with me. They were one of the ones that brought me towards the house of the Guru. I remember when I met them, I was a monna. I used to have like a little quiff, like a little sideburns on my face. And they'd owned a fruit and veg shop in East London. And I'd go and sit on the fruit and veg shop with my father-in-law, and he would just talk to me about Sikhi and stuff like that. And he said something I want to just share with you. He said, when you're doing Simran, have that thought in your mind I want to meet Guru Nanak. Have we ever thought that? It's such a simple thing. Have we ever thought that in our mind that, why am I doing this? Am I doing it mechanically? Because if you're doing it mechanically, you might as well do something else. If you're trying to cultivate a relationship of love, then why would we not call out from a place of merging, of longing? Because I want to meet my Guru. Imagine my Guru is before me. And if they can't be before you, Sadh Sangat Ji, if that wall is there. So Sadh Sangat Ji, as we go full circle, the questions was, what can I do? What's the one thing that we can do to bring happiness into our lives? What's the one thing that I need to do to remove this feeling of separation and sadness? The Guru is saying, there's nothing else to do. We don't get distracted with all these different things. Be mil Sadh Sangat, come into the Sangat, and vibrate upon the name of God. So Sadh Sangat Ji, let's go on a journey together right now. We're going to recite the Guru's mantra, which is Vaheguru. Just a quick reminder, you all know it anyway. What does Vaheguru mean? What is this mantra that the Guru has given to us that destroys our haumai, that makes us to connect to God? What is that mantra? What does it mean? Vaheguru, in one simple translation, Vahe meaning wow, amazing. To be in a state of adulation, to be in a state of complete awe, to be in a state of complete appreciation and shukrana. Vah, it's the universal language of love. You watch Argentinian commentators seeing Messi on the pitch and he does something amazing. All you hear is Vah. You drive past an Italian sports car and all you hear as a Ferrari goes past is Vah. Vah is the language of human beings to be in a state of awe, appreciation and shukrana. As we stand before our great Guru, the one who enlightens us as to our true affliction, our true disease, we should be in a state of Vah. You're the one that's going to fix us. We say thank you to every doctor in this world with amoxicillin, penicillin, so on and so forth. But the Guru is the true doctor, going to remove the true affliction of haumai. We should stand before them from a place of Vah. Vah he Guru. Gu meaning darkness, Guru meaning light. In other words, when we bring that mantra together, Vaheguru meaning, wow, wonderful, amazing, destroyer of darkness and bringer of light. Vaheguru meaning the one that will lift us out of our haumai, that we recognize I'm not a wave, but I'm just part of this ocean. Vaheguru meaning that one that will help me realize that the problems of the wave are not mine to bear, they're the ocean's to bear, and the ocean can bear all weight. That is the ocean, the Sukh Sagar of love. Vaheguru meaning the one that teaches us that I'm not separate and suffering, but I'm part of that ocean if I just remove the barriers from me to see. Vaheguru being the destroyer of darkness and the bringer of light. Every time we get to sit in the Sangat and do Vaheguru Simran, we should open up our hearts from a place of shukrana and say, Yo Maharaj, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be in the Sangat. Thank you for allowing me to be in the Sangat. Thank you for allowing me to vibrate upon the name of God. Thank you for removing my haumai, which, as we undertake this exercise in the Sangat, is amplified by the blessings of the Sangat. Thank you for allowing me to be in the same Sangat that Guru Arjan Dev Ji wishes to install in their heart. Be thank you, Maharaj. Keep me in your heart as well. I don't wish to be anything different from the same Sangha that you speak of. Be let me, next time when I read that Bhakti and I see you speaking about the Sangha being in your heart, be Maharaj, bless me with that understanding that I can be in your heart too. So as we close our eyes, I'm going to call the Guru Mantra of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, the Karam Killer, the one that destroys our haumai. And as I say, Vai Guru, I'd like you all, give me your blessings, that you will let it enter your ears, and you keep that in your heart, and then we all call back the mantra, we call it back together as one. Vahe Guru, 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 Vahe Guru. Sadhsanka ji, let's ask ourselves a question, but from a different frequency. The question we have to ask ourselves is, who do we want to be? Now, in the context of this conversation, we'd be mindful of the danger of stepping into our haumai. Who do I want to be? But in the context of what I'm saying is, do we want to carry on this path where we are quietly suffering, which everybody who without Naam will be? Nanaka Dukhiya, sab sansar, the whole dunya is on fire, whole world is on fire. Or are we going to bring that naam into our daily existence? Whether we're reciting the Japji Sahib every morning, the Jap Sahib. I know my brother's been doing the Katha on the Japji Sahib. That's finished now, right? And the Kathas now continue on the same days, on Saturdays. Let's have a little think. Like, we've all got difficulties. We all have difficulties to bear. I'm not looking down on any of those difficulties. It's my wish, Sadh Sangat Ji, and I'm speaking to myself here, but feel free to join in on the reflection. We've all got difficulties. It's my wish, it's my asana for the Sangat that as we face those difficulties, we understand that those are not ours to bear. These are Parmeshwar Vahegurus as we join with the Guru. Be chinta mat karo chinta tissa hi. You're the one that's going to lift me. You're the one that's going to carry me. But for you to do that, I have to get rid of myself first. And then you can exist where I was. In the place of my problems, now your handstand. Kabir, tu karta, tu hua, mujh mein raha na hu. Guru Maharaj says, tu karta, when I call your name, when I do Vaheguru Simran, tu hua, then I become you. I become one with you. Mujh mein raha na hu. Then there's nothing left of me. Akho Satnam Sri. Jab apa par kam met gaya, jat dekho tat tu. Then I can't even see myself. All I can see is you. Sadh Sangat Ji, let's not bear all the weight of our own difficulties and our own problems as we associate solely with our own existence. Let's understand there's a greater consciousness out there, Sadh Sangat Ji, which I feel if you close your eyes and in the presence of Israel, you can feel that connection, you can feel that consciousness. And in this way, Sadh Sangat Ji, let's bring this practice into our days. Let's start coming to the Katha. Let's support the Uprala of the youth and the Guru Card. Let's start coming to the Katha, which is happening week in, week out, wind, rain or storm. Let's start coming to the Katha. Let's learn about who we really are, that we're not who we think we are, though we might be so sure we are, but we're not. Let's go beyond who we think we are as we join with the Guru, as we join with the Sangha, and we bring this practice of doing Simran, of doing Path into our days, not because we have to, but we understand that these things will destroy our haumai and allow us to connect. So you are the Sangat of Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj. You are the Sangat of the Guru. I've made many, many mistakes. I'm behind all of you. I ask for your blessings and your seva and your blessings that we can one day all have darshan of the Guru. Sadh Sangat Ji, we're going to have a little short, we've been told because there's the Khandpar upstairs, we've got time for a short Q&A upstairs in the Langar Hall. There's going to be Kirtan now in the Darbar. Firstly, apologies for slightly running over. There's going to be Kirtan in the Darbar now, and then there'll be Samapti, but in the Langar Hall there's going to be a short Q&A. If anybody wants to have a little chat about maybe starting this practice of Simran, Nama Abhyas, not that I'm an expert, like I said, I'm behind all of you, but together we can support each other, we can grow. So once again, if I've made any mistakes, I ask for your forgiveness and your blessings. May Guru Sahib bless us all that we have their naam and that we can remove our own afflictions. Be lekhe kathe na shutiye, khen khen pulan hara, baksan hara, baksale nanak paryotar. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.